good?
Yep.
Can I start?
Go ahead.
All right, hello. My name is Erik, as I told you. I have the pleasure of being here and talk about how to go from employee to freelancer, which I hope all of you one day will try to if you think about it, because it was way easier than I thought it would. Well, who am I though? I'm Erik Hedberg. I love running and I love exercising. Actually, I don't sit in front of my computer that much when I'm not working. You can find me at these addresses if you ever want to get in touch with me, ask any questions about things I don't cover during the talk, for instance. My background is that I started studying here at Uppsala University. I just wanted to try out a program that was called Master of Science in Information Technology Engineering. But my initial plan was to go to Gothenburg to study mechanical engineering. But here I am, after 5 years I met my wife and I had a degree and all that. I, together with Anders, started a company, the web agency Drivhuset. I left it for Klarna in Stockholm, which you might be familiar with, they simplify buying. I worked there as a web developer, Scrum Master, team lead and tech lead for 3 years. And in October last year I switched over to be self-employed, to be a freelancer, to do web development, be a Scrum Master in terms of helping out, like facilitating projects and teams, helping them growing. And that's what I'm currently doing. This was my path from employment to my first job, and it's a quite long, hefty list of things that I did. But I just want to emphasize how stupidly simple it is to become a freelancer and to start your own company. Like, the first thing I did was that I quit my job. You shouldn't do it in that order, you think. I mean, you want to have everything established before you quit your job. But I had a 3 months notice and I knew that no one wanted to hire me if they were to wait for me for 3 months, because there's tons of freelancing web developers out there. The competition is, I wouldn't say it's hard getting a gig, but they want you in, come to them as soon as possible. So I quit, didn't tell my mom, so there was no panic there. I registered my company, I talked to people. Let people know that you are starting a freelancing business, let people know that you're starting a product company, let people know that you're doing something, because if they know, they can hire you, they can help you find gigs, they can vouch for you whenever someone calls and asks them about you. What I did then was, this was during the summer, I took the decision during Midsummer Eve. I was sober. I went to interviews, I found out how to take care of bookkeeping. Since I'm doing IT consultancy work, I needed an insurance, because if I screw up, I won't have the money in order to compensate the company that is contracting me. I signed my gig. I kept meeting with other companies for strategic reasons. I told my mom. I left the company, left Klarna, had drinks with my friends, and a week after I started my first gig at Nordnet, which is an online trading company where you can trade funds, hedge funds and stocks, and you can have your retirement savings there as well. And it's a very fun and modern company, I would say. Now, for those of you who might be feeling dizzy, I saw this in the presentation, I was pleasantly surprised by it, by things that are moving on the screen and things that are popping up. Each time there's the hashtag GIF in the bottom of the screen, the next slide will have something that might making you feel dizzy, just so that you're prepared. Okay, when freelancing, there's lots of things to talk about. I asked around in my network, what should I tell you? I asked 5 friends, they came up with 3 different things each, except one thing that I will target later on. But I mean, there will be lots of things that I won't cover here, but I will try to cover what I think is important and I would like you to know, and what might motivate you in order to start your freelancing business. And I heard some of you are actually looking into that. Why freelancing? Why? I don't know. I wanted to do something on my own. Maybe you want to do that as well. Maybe you know something that you're very good at that you want to sell to people, or that you in general are a very good person that other companies should hire because they want to have some kind of value from you. I did it because I wanted to have a higher quality of life in terms of deciding where I wanted to be, to try out different areas of business. What else? I wanted to share my experience as a developer at Klarna, at Webbgaragen, and as project manager, because I knew that there were companies out there that wanted my help. And they say that helping people makes you happy, more happy than earning money. And it took me many years to realize that, but it's actually quite fun going out there and getting the feedback from the customers, telling them how you actually help them. That is worth way more than the money they pay you, actually. Some other people said be in charge of my personal development, and I can do it so much better than other consultancy agencies. And you might be thinking to yourself, but I'm no senior guy. I heard there are people out there studying, but you're doing freelancing work as well, right?
A little bit.
A little bit, but still, you're doing freelancing. And it doesn't have to mean that you're super experienced in an area and you're like the most knowledgeable guy about that particular topic. You can do anything. Just find what you're good at and what other companies are looking for. I mean, I'm just in quotation mark, a developer. There's tons of developers out there, but apparently there's a need for it. And apparently companies are asking for more developers. So why not just seize the day and try it out for a while? You might never know like what it turned out to or what happens. And ask around, ask companies, ask friends, what are they looking for? What are your friends' employers looking for instance? It doesn't have to be very complicated. And how do you find the clients? Well, I went about and did 3 things. I wrote down a list. What are my dream clients? What are the companies in Sweden that I want to work for? And I sent them emails. I sent the CTO emails, not the CEO, but and some people that I've heard of, and just told them about what I was doing and what kind of value I would bring to the company. And also, I asked friends if they had any contacts within those companies, and that led me to quite a few meetings actually. I also asked friends and colleagues, like, do you have anyone who might be willing to hire me, please? And agents. There are lots of consultancy agencies. I have to be honest that I'm not very experienced with agencies here in Uppsala since I've been working in Stockholm for almost 4 years now. But in Stockholm, they are like, you've never gotten so many free lunches if you reached out to consultancy agencies. But what they're there for is to find you as a freelancer or as a consultant and sell you to other companies. They act as the mediator or something.
Broker.
The broker, yeah, that's good. And most of them are quite good at being fair about your resume. So let's say that you have in your resume that you only know React.js, for instance. They want to ask you if you're willing to take down Angular in your resume just for the sake of being able to sell you and to get you into interviews. They ask you what you want to do, and that is quite nice actually, and that builds a lot of trust. The job that I have right now, or the contract that I have right now, was via an acquaintance of mine who actually had to turn it down and ask me to take it instead. And as I told you, when you're about to start freelancing, when you're about to start anything, talk about it, spread the word. It doesn't have, like, keeping it to yourself means nothing, because then no one will know what you're about to do or what you're doing. So just go on and talk about it until people start throwing things at you. That's the sign that they know what you're about to do. And like, Swedes are very bad at promoting their strengths. What do you do? Well, I develop stuff, and I might be good at baking bread, and I sometimes I can stand in front of people and talk. That won't make you getting that initial offer. You have to tell them what you're super good at, what kind of value you will bring. And this might be feeling strange at first, but if you practice in like writing it in an email and just writing it down, or standing in front of friends and promoting yourself. It will be so much easier when you're out there, because you will go to interviews and they will ask you like, what kind of value will you bring, or what are you good at? And you have to be super clear about that, because there are so many other people out there that are good at this, or get coached in this in turn. Let's say that they are working for a consultancy company like NetLight or Knowit, for instance. They have people doing this for them. If you're freelancing, you're doing it by yourself. But it's fun. It's great fun and challenging. And what's important, your strength is the value that you will bring. That is super important. Now, when Anders and I and a third friend of ours started Drivhuset, Anders was getting gray hair, because we were super picky about the numbers and the number of vacation days we had used and how many we had left. And Anders was taking care of the bookkeeping and maintaining the list and trying to figure out how much should we save and how many vacation days have you used. So that must mean that we must have this plus the number of vacation days you've used, which led to nothing except the gray hair that seemed to have turned into something else.
That's why it's short now.
Okay, that's good. Yeah. So what I'm trying to get at here is that focus on what you're good at. Outsource bookkeeping. That is the one thing that people told me that you should outsource, and the common thread among all of these advice that I got during these past days. And Emil, you're nodding as well. You don't want to spend your nights during the weekends and weekdays doing the bookkeeping just because you're too cheap. It doesn't cost much, because it doesn't take many hours for an experienced accountant to take care of your bookkeeping. So please, there are tons of companies here in Uppsala that can do this for you. And when I bought something, I grab my phone, I take a picture of the receipt, I send it as an email to some kind of service, and once a month I get a message from my accountant telling you, hey, I've taken care of all of your expenses, I've done the bookkeeping, and this is your result. This is how much money you have in your company, and this is how much you should pay in tax. That's all I care about, basically. Even though I'm financially legally responsible for all of these things, I try to care as little as possible and try to spend as little time about this as possible. And I saw you nodding there, Johannes, as well. So focus on your strengths, what you're good at, and outsource everything else. As my brother said, spend time making the money, not wasting it. And as I told you, I was like, when I was working at Klarna, I was focusing on this ladder that you were supposed to climb. You were supposed to be a developer, you were supposed to go up to become a project manager, team lead, engineering manager, CTO, and all that. And I thought that was the path forward. That was what you were supposed to do in life. It's not. Because what they give you back is more money. But money doesn't make you happy. And this is just a side effect from doing this freelance work. Because if you start out as a freelancer, you do it because you want to bring value, you want to help the companies, and you want to do what you think is fun, because that's what you're good at. Of course, you shouldn't be thinking, hey, I can have very low rate and I don't have to earn money. Of course you have to earn money, because this will be your main income if you start freelancing 100%. And you should try to up that hourly rate as high as possible, but you shouldn't be focusing on what company will pay me the most, how much more money can I make when I take on my next contract. The only thing that is important when it comes to money is the money you spend. I try to spend as little money as possible, and I try to spend it as wisely as possible, because it will be a roller coaster ride. Today is a very good time for freelancers. Tomorrow you don't know, so it might be good to have a buffer. But that's all there is to money. What other people told me is that it must be fun to do freelance work. You shouldn't do it out of convenience, as with money. You shouldn't just take on a contract that is very long because you will have a stable income, but that will be super boring. Because it all goes back to value. If you don't think it's fun, you won't be as good as you would be if you were at a fun project. And that means that you won't be bringing that company as much value as you would. So make sure that it's challenging, because that means that it's fun. And this thing that I said about strategic reason why I wanted to stay in touch with other companies when I had my first project was that first project was only supposed to run for 3 months, and I wanted to stay in touch with these potential clients because they were still my dream clients. And if I was still in touch with them, and if I still met them and talked to them, that meant that whenever this current contract ends, I can contact them and tell them, hey, I'm currently available. Do you have anything for me? Is there anything that I can do for you? I've been doing this, and now I have this experience. I learned these tons of stuff that I can bring to you while being on this current contract. So it's good to always have a network of potential clients and always maintaining that list and staying in touch with them. Because you will become a salesman as well. You won't be just doing that heavy lifting or doing the development or whatever you're doing as a freelancer or writing perhaps. You will also be always selling yourself unless someone else is doing it, and that means that you need to stay in touch with these people. The things that are different now than it was back then when I was managing a team of like 8 people, having people above me and on the sides and colleagues everywhere, 1,000 colleagues at the current office, was that I don't have a manager now, and I don't have a manager that I can talk to and use as a sounding board, bold plank, whenever I have issues. So you need to find someone else. You need to find someone who can coach you, or someone who's an experienced freelancer, someone who's experienced in that particular subject or area that you're working in, because you will encounter problems, issues, and things that you might not want to be talking to your significant other or friends about. It can be super important to have a coach or mentor just use as a sounding board. And what about colleagues then? I thought that I would be completely alone, that I would have no one to talk to, no one to share my experience with and talk about my issues with the customers and whatnot. But there's tons of freelancers out there, and they will be your new colleagues. Emil and I would talk via Uppsala Tech Slack, and now at least we say hi to each other when we're on the train. That's good.
Hey, you gave me a job, man.
That's something, yeah. You see, it's always good to know people, right? And also, I had dinner with 3 other freelancers. 2 of them I barely knew before that dinner, but they were friends of this other freelancer that I knew, and now I know them, and they might be having a job for me down the line. So it's good to network, and they will also be your friends. Don't see them as competitors, because that won't do much. You might end up in the same team one day. And what about education? Companies send their employees to conferences, to courses, to whatnot. This is also what you will be spending money on. Going to conferences, attending courses, and educating yourself, maybe getting a certificate in something. Maybe you want to be a certified Scrum Master, for instance. Maybe you want to be certified in Cisco, Java, and whatnot. This is where the money will come handy, because you need to find those opportunities yourself now. But on the other hand, it's wide open, the opportunities, and what your plate. It will be a giant smorgasbord instead of just a selection that your employer will give you. And I read this Chinese proverb that must be 1,000 years old, but this is actually something that really resonated with me. The best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago, the second best time is now. if you start thinking about when should I do this, do it now. It's super easy to register a company. You can always start while having an employment, talk to people and ask around other companies. And once you have that offer, you can maybe you can quit and maybe you can start trying it out. Right, that was fast. What did I miss? What are you thinking about? What's going through your minds?
Did you do any cold calls? What are your thoughts on that?
In terms of email, yes. I sent lots and lots of emails. They should be relevant, right? They should be sent to companies that are willing to hire you, that have employed people within your business. So you can always check job ads, for instance, and see are they recruiting consultants or freelancers, or do they want to employ people? Nevertheless, send them an email and just tell them that you're out there and that you're willing to take on a contract for a little while while they're looking for more people. And cold emails. I mean, you send the cold emails. You use the boomerang tool in Gmail that would actually put the email back in your inbox after 2 weeks of no reply, and then you just shoot them another email until they tell you to stop. And emailing is so much easier than calling people. I hate cold calling via phone. Yes?
Yeah, I've been doing a little bit of consultancy, site studies and so on, but what I always is struggling with is just how to know what you can, how much money you can ask for, and like imagining what cost you would have or whatever. So how do you go about that?
Wow.
Ask other people in the same field.
Yeah, that's what I did.
Yeah.
Like for certain things, I think like, I have no idea, but I think like your and my rate, we are doing pretty much equal things. And I think our rates are, like the span for our rates isn't that big. There is like set tires. So ask someone in the same field. What are you doing?
No, software development.
Okay, ask me.
And you should pick an odd number, like 800 crowns or 900 crowns doesn't sound very thought through. You should pick an odd number because that will make them feel more confident. That was my one of the first tips that I got when I started business.
I have a question.
But I know it's hard. Yeah.
If you find a job through an agent, how much do they take roughly?
Wow. Some take 10%. Yeah, I think it's around that. What would you say, Emma?
7 to 14.
Yeah.
Something.
Yeah, it depends. Depends quite a lot.
How do you see the language barrier for non-Swedish speakers doing freelancing job in Sweden?
Depends on your area. I would say in IT and tech, most of the companies are willing to hire people, as long as you speak English. That would be a problem. Companies that I've worked for have employed people from all over the world, and it's so hard to find people nowadays that they search all over the globe just to find someone who's suitable for the role. And you can always try.
So which kind of stuff did you do?
Front-end web development.
So all of the gigs that you take is front-end?
I've only had one so far, but yes, that's been front-end. And also partially Scrum Master role. But this will be my niche, and it will be easier to sell if you can pinpoint what you're doing.
Specialized. So.
Exactly. All right.
Yeah. I have a question for you.
Yes.
But I also have a statement first.
Yes.
The admin stuff is actually, I think it's important to say this. Admin is really easy. It's not hard at all. Like bookkeeping is probably the hardest thing to do, and that you can outsource for not that much money. But all the other things like registering your company, that's online.
That's right. It took me 5 minutes to register a company.
Yeah, a private held company, and like going to the bank, that's probably gonna take you 5 minutes. Or something like that. It's really, really easy to do all these things. Like the tax agency are really helpful to like shoot them an email, and then they'll answer you in a day. It's really, really easy to do all the admin stuff, which can scare people, I think.
Mm-hmm. That's a good point.
But my question for you is, how about online presence? Is that important for you? Because I know, if I'm not mistaken, your online presence isn't like that big, is it?
My online presence is currently only about bread and sourdough bread making. So no.
But how are you thinking about that? Or are you thinking about that?
Yes, I'm thinking about it, and maybe I should do something about it. But I don't see. Maybe I should, because when the market reaches a low, it can be good to have an online presence just to show how credible you are as a developer. And that might be a good selling point. Right now, I've been too convenient. It's been too convenient to not focus on it.
So basically you didn't have to do it. That's what you're saying.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I don't think. I mean, what if you were to hire someone? What would be easiest if they came to you and told you, "Hey, this is who I am," or if you had to search online for different kinds of people?
Yeah, but knowing me, like me personally, I Google people. That's like the first thing I do when I, like, have you heard about this Erik guy?
Yeah.
I'm gonna Google you.
But then you might hit my LinkedIn.
Yeah.
And I was super careful about asking people when I was about to leave the company to give me recommendations on LinkedIn in different terms of roles that I had. So I think that is my contribution to my online presence. And people actually like bread, so that has been fruitful.
Question.
Yes.
What's the benefit of registering an AB if you're doing freelance? Like, what does it give you?
You are not personally responsible for the ship that can go down. And you can also do some other tax deductions for working out. You can pay, well, your company can pay you for all of the what do you call the fiskevårdsbidrag?
You're basically an employee
Yeah,
in your
exactly.
own company.
Yeah.
So you can do everything you can give to employees, you can give to yourself.
The AB will be a juridical person.
Yes.
Yes.
Exactly.
And as an owner, you can get out money quite good. Usually, it's the right thing to do.
But when you get out money, you get taxed as like the normal.
Way less than
You can get at a lower tax as well.
Yeah.
Once you pay the tax to the government.
But still, like on AB, you have also tax.
Of course.
Yes.
So the
And,
government will get
and everything will be separate from your personal stuff. So let's say that you are being sued or something, your company is being sued. You can be personally responsible in that way as well. And I know some people here might know way more about this than I do, but like you're taking less of a responsibility to register maybe.
Just to follow on that question, one thing you can do if you have a AB aktiebolag is not pay everything you receive as salary to yourself, but actually keep funds in the company, because maybe after a couple of years of freelancing, you want to employ somebody in your company, and then you can have cash in your company to actually pay that salary later, or make investments, or turn your freelancing company into a product company or a service company. So that could be another reason.
But most importantly is the separation of concerns, I would say. Like you are not personally, if the company goes bankrupt, it's not you personally who goes bankrupt. And that's, at least for me, quite a huge deal.
I remember some clauses like in certain cases, it might consider you still the same thing.
If you're meddling with the taxes, if you're doing something obviously illegal with like your tax returns, they're gonna charge you.
Then the board becomes liable and you're the board.
Yeah. But that's pretty much it.
Or if you run the company beyond a certain point, financial point, and don't dissolve the company in time. So there are a few things you need to keep track of. But the bookkeeping is generally simpler, for example.
New way simpler.
Especially your personal ones don't get mixed in, which is great.
All right. Thanks for having me, and it's been a pleasure talking about freelancing in front front of you, and I hope I can at least motivate one of you to take this step one day and to try this out.
Can I just follow up with a few, if you see